You are mine, embracing God's promises in hard times, mindset and motivation for success. Have you ever felt lost in the noise of the world, overwhelmed by battles or questioning if God truly sees you? There's a passage in Scripture, Isaiah 43, that cuts through the chaos like a beacon. It's not just ancient text. It's a direct declaration from God Himself, reminding you of an astonishing truth. He knows your name. He calls you His own. This isn't a vague hope. It's a divine promise of His unwavering presence, no matter the storm. Today, let's delve into this powerful chapter and rediscover the unshakable assurance that comes from knowing who walks with you. Let me tell you something truly profound. Isaiah chapter 43 is not just another passage in the Bible. It is a potent declaration from God Himself. It serves as a powerful reminder that no matter what circumstances you face, no matter what the world tries to relentlessly throw at you, His divine presence is constantly with you. It is an unbreakable promise, a divine assurance that when He calls you, He doesn't just call you to merely survive the trials of life. He calls you to walk confidently in His very presence with boldness and unwavering faith. I have called you by name. You are mine. That is not a mere suggestion. That is an authoritative declaration from the Almighty Creator. Do you truly grasp the immense weight, the incredible significance of those words? The God who meticulously created the heavens and the earth, the one who expertly formed the vast seas and precisely set the countless stars in their place. He knows your name. He didn't just speak the universe into existence and then leave you alone to somehow figure things out on your own. No. He is intimately with you, and He desperately wants you to know this truth. Deep within your spirit, beyond all the distracting noise of this world, beyond all the fierce battles you inevitably face, there is a presence that never leaves, never falters, never fails. That presence is the very presence of God Himself. So many people today are desperately searching for something real, something substantial to hold on to. They chase relentlessly after worldly success, fleeting relationships, temporary validation from others, yet they still feel profoundly empty inside. They drift from one thing to the next, perpetually hoping that something, anything, will finally give them lasting peace. But listen closely to me. You will never find true, enduring peace apart from the tangible presence of God. You can possess all the money in the world, wield all the influence imaginable, receive all the recognition possible, but if you do not have the abiding presence of God actively working in your life, you will still inevitably feel lost. Because you were fundamentally created for Him. And the enemy knows this critical truth. He will do absolutely everything in his power to make you doubt whether God is truly with you. He will insidiously whisper lies into your mind, lies that tell you you're forgotten, that you're fundamentally not enough, that God is somehow distant or uncaring. But Isaiah 43 powerfully reminds us of the unshakable truth. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When God calls you His, He means it with eternal certainty. He doesn't abandon His own. He doesn't simply walk away when things get tough. He never forgets His beloved children. But here's the crucial question. Do you actually live like you believe it? Do you walk through your days like a cherished child of God, confidently knowing His powerful presence goes before you? Or do you often live consumed by fear, constantly questioning whether he still sees you, whether he still cares. You see, it's one thing to hear the promise intellectually. It's an entirely different thing to truly believe it in the core of your being. And let me tell you, the very moment you genuinely believe, really believe that his presence is always with you, absolutely everything in your life begins to change. Moses deeply understood this principle. When God called him to lead the nation of Israel out of bondage, Moses didn't primarily ask for more signs, more miracles, or even more personal strength. Instead, he declared with profound wisdom, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. Because he knew with absolute certainty that without God's guiding presence, nothing else ultimately mattered. And that is the very posture we desperately need today. Not constantly chasing after temporary blessings, not relentlessly seeking what the world transiently offers, but humbly saying, Lord, if your presence is not in it, I don't want it. Because when God's tangible presence is truly with you, fear simply has to leave. Anxiety must bow. Confusion has absolutely no place to dwell. You may indeed walk through incredibly difficult seasons, but you will never, ever walk alone. You may certainly face daunting challenges, but you will ultimately not be defeated, because the presence of God is a mighty shield, a secure covering, an unbreachable refuge. And Isaiah 43 unequivocally tells us that no matter what trials we go through, he is with us. Not just passively watching from a safe distance, not just giving instructions from the heavens above. He's actively, intimately with us. That means when you are struggling intensely, he's right there with you. When you feel utterly forgotten and invisible, he's faithfully with you. When you don't have all the answers, when confusion clouds your mind, he is still profoundly there. And when you pray, when you earnestly seek him, when you call upon his powerful name, you are not just speaking empty words into the air. You are speaking directly to the God who always hears, the God who intimately knows your situation, the God who sovereignly moves on behalf of his beloved people. And I know some of you might be thinking, but I don't feel him right now. Listen carefully to me. Faith is not primarily about fleeting feelings. Faith is about resolutely believing what he has already declared. And he has declared, I have called you by name. You are mine. That means even when you don't tangibly feel him near, he is there. Even when life feels overwhelmingly heavy, his abiding presence has absolutely not left you. And the very moment you begin to pray, the moment you lift your hands in surrender and trust, you will often begin to sense what was powerfully present all along. So I want you to ask yourself right now, are you living daily in the quiet confidence of his presence? Or are you often walking consumed by fear, anxiously wondering if he's still truly with you? Because the liberating truth is you don't have to beg for his presence. You don't have to chase after him frantically. He has already graciously promised it to you. What you need to do is consciously choose to step into it. Pray with bold expectation. Walk with unwavering assurance. Live with the unshakable confidence that you absolutely belong to him. And when you truly do that, everything changes. Fear inevitably loses its suffocating grip. Doubt begins to steadily fade away. And you will walk not as someone who is barely making it, not as someone who is just desperately surviving, but as a beloved, empowered child of the Most High God, eternally secure in the loving presence of the one who personally called you by name. Fear is an insidious thief. It cunningly sneaks in when you least expect it, relentlessly whispering deceptive lies that try to shake your faith to its core, desperately trying to convince you that you are utterly alone, that you are fundamentally not enough, that you are somehow too far gone for redemption. But listen intently to me. Fear is absolutely not from God. Isaiah 43 powerfully tells us, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you." That is not merely a gentle suggestion. That is a direct, authoritative command from the Almighty God. You see, fear is not just a fleeting emotion. It is often a fierce spiritual battle. And the enemy will strategically use fear to attempt to keep you from stepping fully into the abundant life God has meticulously planned for you. He will use it to make you constantly question your inherent worth, your divine purpose, and even the assurance of your salvation. But God's word rings clear and true. You absolutely don't have to live imprisoned by fear, because you have been definitively redeemed. And God's redemption is not temporary. It is not based on how you feel at any given moment or what mistakes you've made in the past. It is the unshakable, eternal truth that when God calls you His, absolutely nothing, no power, no principality, no circumstance can ever separate you from His unwavering love. Now, I don't personally know what specific struggles you've been through. I don't know the particular battles you've had to courageously fight or the immense weight you've been silently carrying. But I do know this with absolute certainty. God's redemptive power is infinitely greater than your past. Some of you have been carrying the heavy burden of guilt and shame for far too long, mistakenly believing the insidious lie that what you've done is simply too bad, that you've gone too far astray, that God couldn't possibly still love you after everything. But Isaiah 43 doesn't say, "Fear not," unless you've made too many mistakes. It doesn't say, "Fear not," unless you failed too many times. No, it emphatically declares, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you." That means your past does not define your present or your future. Your failures do not dictate your destiny. And when God redeems something, He fully restores it. He doesn't just pull you out of darkness and leave you broken and scarred. He makes you completely new. He gives you a new name, a new identity, a brand new future filled with hope. The world may constantly try to remind you of your past failures, but God definitively says, "You are mine." Do you truly hear that? You are His. That is precisely why you don't have to live in fear. Because if you genuinely belong to God, what real power can the enemy ultimately have over you? If you belong to God, what can this temporary world truly take from you that ultimately matters? Some of you have been living consumed by fear because you're desperately trying to fight overwhelming battles that only God Himself can truly win. You're constantly striving to prove yourself, trying frantically to fix things in your own limited strength, attempting to control outcomes that were never meant to be in your hands in the first place. But let me tell you something liberating. Redemption is entirely God's work, not yours. That means you don't have to carry the immense weight of trying to earn it. You don't have to somehow fix yourself completely before you can approach Him. You certainly don't have to somehow earn His infinite love. He has already redeemed you through Christ. And when you fully grasp and internalize that profound truth, fear inevitably loses its power. Because fear thrives in the shadows of uncertainty. Fear constantly makes you ask, What if God doesn't come through? What if I'm really not good enough? What if I fail yet again? But faith confidently responds, I don't have to have all the answers. I just have to trust the one who does. When you truly know deep down that you are redeemed, you stop living like a prisoner perpetually bound by fear. You stop constantly running from your past mistakes, and you start courageously walking in the quiet confidence of your salvation. There is something incredibly powerful about a person who genuinely knows they are redeemed. They don't live in constant fear of people's opinions. They don't allow their past mistakes to relentlessly hold them back. They don't shrink back in terror when life inevitably gets hard, because they know with unshakable conviction that no matter what happens, they belong to God. And when you belong to God, you are never, ever without hope. So let me ask you pointedly, are you currently living like someone who has been fully redeemed? Or are you still allowing fear to have a significant say in your life, your decisions, your future? Because the glorious truth is, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Not of your past, not of your future, not of what people think, not of what tomorrow may hold. Because the one who lovingly redeemed you holds absolutely everything securely in his sovereign hands. And he is simply not going to let you go. And if you ever start to doubt that, if you ever begin to wonder whether he still sees you, whether he still loves you, whether he is still truly with you, remember this powerful promise. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. That is the unmistakable voice of your loving Father speaking directly to your heart. That is the voice of the one who paid the ultimate price for you. And when he calls you his, absolutely nothing in heaven or on earth can ever take that away. Life will test you. That's a guarantee. There will undoubtedly be moments when the waters rise so high you feel like you're literally drowning. When the fire of adversity gets so intensely hot, you genuinely wonder if you'll possibly make it through. But hear me clearly, God never promised you wouldn't go through deep waters. He never said you wouldn't face the scorching fire. What he did promise unequivocally was that when you walk through it, you will absolutely not be alone. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. That is the powerful, reassuring promise found in Isaiah 43. That is the unwavering assurance of God's constant, abiding presence, right there with you in the midst of the trial. Some of you right now are in a season where you feel like the relentless waves just keep coming, one after another. You barely catch your breath before the next overwhelming challenge hits. You're silently fighting battles that no one else even knows about, carrying burdens that feel far too heavy to possibly bear alone. And the enemy desperately wants you to believe that because you're struggling, it must mean God has somehow left you. That because you're currently in the fire, God must have surely abandoned you. But that is a blatant lie straight from the pit of hell. You see, the presence of trials absolutely does not mean the absence of God. In fact, it often means he is right there with you, holding you up, sovereignly making a way where there seems to be absolutely no way forward. Think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a blazing furnace, not because they did something terribly wrong, but precisely because they courageously refused to bow down to a false god. And when King Nebuchadnezzar peered into that fiery furnace, he didn't just see the three men who had been thrown in. Astonishingly, he saw a fourth man walking calmly with them, completely untouched by the consuming flames. God didn't miraculously pull them out before they went into the fire. He didn't prevent them from facing the intense heat. But He was intimately with them right there in it. And because of His divine presence, they came out without even the slightest smell of smoke on them. That is the kind of faithful, powerful God you serve. He is not just a God of the triumphant mountaintops. He is equally the God of the shadowed valleys, the raging storms, and the refining fire. He doesn't just show up when everything is easy and comfortable. He faithfully walks with you through the absolute hardest, most challenging moments of your life. When you feel completely overwhelmed, when you feel like you simply cannot take another single step, when you're desperately wondering how you're possibly going to make it through, He is there. And He is not just passively watching from a safe distance. He is actively holding you, gently guiding you, supernaturally strengthening you. But here's the critical part. You still have to walk through it. You cannot give up in the middle of the fire. You cannot stop halfway through the storm. The enemy desperately wants you to quit right before your breakthrough. He wants you to believe that this current trial is the absolute end of your story. But if you quit now, you will tragically never see the glorious victory that is surely waiting for you on the other side. Because God never said the fire wouldn't come. He promised it wouldn't consume you. He never said the waters wouldn't rise. He assured they wouldn't sweep you away. That means you can keep walking. You can keep believing. Because the one who faithfully walks with you is infinitely greater than anything or anyone that stands against you. Some of you need to stop constantly asking, why am I going through this? And instead start asking God, what are you trying to show me in this? What are you teaching me through this? Because sometimes the fire isn't there primarily to destroy you. It's there specifically to refine you. Sometimes the deep waters aren't there to drown you. They're there purposefully to teach you to trust Him in ways you never have before. And when you finally come out on the other side, and you will come out, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in His comforting presence than ever before, because the enemy thought this fire would take you out. He thought these waves would surely break you. He thought this storm would finally silence your faith. But what he didn't realize was that God was masterfully using it all to make you truly unshakable. He was using it to show you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your faith is not dependent on favorable circumstances. It is firmly rooted in the unchanging, unmovable presence of the living God. So believe this truth. When you walk through hardship, you are absolutely not alone. There is incredible power in truly knowing who you belong to. In a world that constantly tries to label you, define you according to its fleeting standards, and tell you who you are or who you should be. There's something profoundly unshakable about standing firm in the divine identity God Himself has graciously given you. I have called you by name. You are mine. That is what Isaiah 43 powerfully declares. That is what the Lord Himself has sovereignly spoken over your life. And when God calls you His, absolutely nothing, no person, no power, no circumstance can ever take that divine ownership away. Some of you have spent years desperately trying to prove yourselves, tirelessly trying to earn love, constantly striving to fit into places you were never truly meant to be. You've mistakenly allowed the often critical opinions of other people to fundamentally shape the way you see yourself. Maybe someone carelessly told you long ago that you weren't good enough, and you tragically believe that lie. Maybe life has beaten you down so many times that you've sadly started to wonder if you even truly matter. But let me tell you something with absolute certainty today. You are not who the world says you are. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your perceived failures. You unequivocally belong to God. And when He definitively says, "You are mine," He is not speaking only to a perfect, flawless version of you. He is not just claiming the parts of you that seem to have it all together. No, He is lovingly calling you His, even in your brokenness, even in your weakness, even in the very moments when you feel utterly unworthy. Because His infinite love is not based on your performance. It is based entirely on His unchanging, faithful character. Now, the enemy will do absolutely everything he possibly can to make you forget that foundational truth. He will relentlessly remind you of every single failure, every flaw, every conceivable reason why you should doubt yourself and God's love for you. He will strategically use people to speak negative, discouraging words over you that try to tear you down. He will constantly attempt to plant insidious seeds of insecurity and fear deep within your heart, because if he can get you to fundamentally question who you truly are in Christ, he can effectively keep you from confidently stepping into the amazing destiny God has uniquely called you to fulfill. But listen closely, God did not call you by your failures. He did not call you by your past mistakes. He specifically called you by name. When the enemy whispers you are worthless, God lovingly declares, "You are mine." When the world insists you will never be enough, God powerfully affirms, "You are mine." When your own heart is filled with crippling doubt and paralyzing fear, God's unwavering voice still clearly declares over you, "You are mine." And if you truly belong to God, then absolutely nothing in this world can ultimately define you. Not rejection, not failure, not the fickle opinions of others. Your inherent worth does not come from how many people approve of you. It does not come from what you possess or what you've accomplished in the eyes of the world. Your true eternal worth comes directly from the one who lovingly formed you, graciously redeemed you, and sovereignly called you his very own. Do you truly know what that means? It means you don't have to live constantly seeking the approval of people. It means you don't have to keep endlessly striving, performing, desperately trying to prove your value to others. It means you can walk through life with quiet confidence, not because of who you are in your own strength, but because of whose you are. Some of you have been living as if you are unwanted, as if you are forgotten, as if you have no real place, no significant purpose, no true sense of belonging. But God is speaking directly to you today. You are mine. You don't have to frantically search for identity in things or people that will never truly satisfy the deepest longings of your soul. You don't have to allow the painful wounds of your past to perpetually dictate your bright future. You don't have to let the persistent voices of doubt drown out the powerful truth of God's unwavering love. Because when God calls you His, He is not making a temporary conditional claim. He is not saying you are mine until you mess up again. He is not saying you are mine until life gets too hard. No. He is definitively saying you are mine forever. That is the incredible kind of steadfast love He has for you. A love that does not waver. A love that does not fade. A love that securely holds you in the very palm of His hand and absolutely refuses to ever let you go. So stand firm in that glorious truth today. Walk confidently in that divine assurance. No matter what challenges come against you, no matter who doubts you, no matter what battles you may face, always remember this: He has personally called you by name, and you belong completely and eternally to Him. Fear is an insidious thief. It will relentlessly attempt to rob you of your peace, steal your inherent joy, and keep you bound in invisible chains that were never meant for you. It will cunningly whisper insidious lies in the quiet, vulnerable places of your mind, constantly telling you that you are not strong enough, not good enough, not worthy enough. But God's powerful word declares something entirely different. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. That is the unwavering promise embedded within Isaiah 43. That is the foundational truth you absolutely must hold on to tightly. Because fear is not just a fleeting feeling. It is often a deliberate strategy of the enemy. And if he can successfully keep you perpetually afraid, he can effectively keep you from courageously stepping into the abundant, purpose-filled life God has uniquely called you to live. Some of you right now are facing battles that seem utterly overwhelming. You feel like the crushing weight of the entire world is pressing down heavily upon your shoulders. And you honestly don't know if you can possibly take another single step forward. You lie awake at night, anxiously wondering how things are ever going to work out, desperately questioning if God even hears your prayers anymore. And fear is relentlessly trying to convince you that you are completely alone, that you are utterly powerless, that this overwhelming situation is somehow bigger than your God. But hear me clearly. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are absolutely not fighting this intense battle solely in your own limited strength. The very God who spoke the entire universe into existence with a mere word, the God who sovereignly holds all things together by His power, the God who lovingly calls you by your specific name, He is with you. And if He is truly with you, then what genuinely do you have to fear? The enemy absolutely thrives in an atmosphere of fear. He will strategically use it to keep you perpetually stuck in the painful regrets of the past. He will cunningly use it to make you constantly doubt the hopeful possibilities of the future. He will insidiously use it to try and silence your faith, to paralyze your obedience, to make you shrink back in terror precisely when you should be boldly moving forward. But fear ultimately is a lie. Fear is merely a menacing shadow. It possesses no real intrinsic power over you as a child of God. And the very moment you consciously choose to trust God more than you fear the unknown, the moment you decisively declare that His abiding presence is far greater than your challenging circumstances, that is the precise moment fear loses its suffocating grip on your life. Think about the disciples caught in that terrifying storm on the sea. The waves were furiously crashing over the boat. The wind was howling violently, and their small vessel was being tossed about like a fragile leaf in the tempestuous wind. They understandably panicked. They genuinely thought they were going to die. And then miraculously, they saw Jesus calmly walking towards them on the turbulent water. But instead of being instantly comforted by His presence, they were initially even more afraid. Because fear has a way of blinding you, even to the very presence of God Himself. Fear will try to make you mistakenly think that he has somehow abandoned you, even when he is right there, standing powerfully in the very middle of the storm with you. And what were Jesus' first words to them? Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. That is precisely what he is saying to you right now, in the midst of whatever storm you are facing. Some of you have been passively waiting for the storm to completely calm down before you'll fully trust him. You've been waiting for the feeling of fear to entirely dissipate before you'll dare to step out in faith. But true courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to trust God in spite of the fear. It is consciously choosing to believe that even if the storm doesn't immediately stop, even if the waters continue to rise, even if things don't go exactly the way you had planned or hoped, he is still with you. And if he is truly with you, then you possess the supernatural ability to confidently walk on the very circumstances that were meant to pull you down and destroy you. The enemy desperately doesn't want you to know that truth. He wants you to stay cowering in the boat, perpetually afraid to step out, afraid to trust, afraid to truly believe in God's power and presence. But God is consistently calling you higher. He is calling you to a faith that is demonstrably stronger than fear, to a confidence that remains unshaken by external circumstances. He is not asking you to figure everything out on your own. He is simply asking you to trust him completely. So what is fear keeping you from today? What specific step of faith have you been too afraid to take? What particular promise of God have you been hesitant to fully believe and act upon? Because the very moment you truly realize that, fear has absolutely no legitimate place in the presence of Almighty God. The moment you decisively choose to trust his voice over all the competing voices of doubt and insecurity, that is the precise moment everything begins to change. You absolutely don't have to live dominated by fear. You don't have to stay stuck in crippling anxiety, constantly worrying about things that are ultimately far beyond your control. You serve a God who securely holds all things in his capable hands, who faithfully walks with you through every single fire, who sovereignly speaks peace into every single storm. And if he says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you," then that promise alone is absolutely enough. That is the unshakable truth you can confidently stand on. That is the liberating truth that truly sets you free. There are inevitable moments in life when it feels like absolutely everything is working against you. You pray earnestly, but heaven seems frustratingly silent. You push forward with determination, but the road only seems to get harder, steeper. You try desperately to stay strong, but an overwhelming weariness begins to settle deep within your soul. And in those incredibly difficult moments, it is so easy to start wondering, God, where are you? It is so easy to think that maybe he has somehow forgotten about you, that maybe you have wandered too far off course, that maybe his incredible promises don't actually apply to you anymore. But listen closely. God absolutely does not abandon his own. He never forgets the ones he has personally called by name. And when he declares in Isaiah 43, "I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the dry wasteland," he is not just speaking poetically. He is powerfully declaring his sovereign ability and intention to intervene in every seemingly impossible situation in your life. And some of you feel like you are currently stuck in a spiritual wilderness right now. A dry place, an empty place. A place where absolutely nothing seems to be moving or changing no matter what you do. You've tried everything you know how to do. exhausted all your own resources, and still nothing seems to shift. But please understand, the wilderness is not your final destination. The desert is not where your story ultimately ends. Because you serve the God who specializes in making a way where there appears to be absolutely no way. He is the very God who miraculously split the Red Sea, the one who brought forth water from a barren rock, the one who faithfully fed his people with manna directly from heaven. He is absolutely not limited by what your natural eyes can currently see. He is not bound by the often harsh conditions of this fallen world. And just because you don't perceive a way out right now does not for 1 second mean that he isn't actively, sovereignly making one for you. Think about the Israelites. They stood trembling at the edge of the Red Sea with Pharaoh's formidable army rapidly closing in behind them. In their own eyes, they were utterly trapped. There was no conceivable way forward, no possible means of escape. But what did God command through Moses? Be still and see the salvation of the Lord. And in that very moment of seeming impossibility, he did what no one could have ever expected. He made a miraculous pathway right through the very obstacle that seemed utterly insurmountable. That very same miracle-working God is faithfully with you today. That same God is actively making a way in your life right now, even if you can't yet see it clearly. But here's the thing you need to grasp. God's way is not always the way you expect. Sometimes he dramatically parts the sea, and sometimes he simply gives you the supernatural strength to courageously walk through the storm. Sometimes he completely removes the obstacle from your path, and sometimes he calls you to bravely climb over it. His ways are truly higher than our ways. His thoughts are far beyond our limited human understanding. And if you are currently in a season where the path ahead looks completely unclear, please do not let crippling doubt take over. Don't let paralyzing fear dictate your next move. Just because you don't have all the answers right now doesn't mean God isn't actively working behind the scenes on your behalf. The wilderness is precisely where genuine faith is often deeply refined. The desert is where authentic trust is rigorously tested. When everything else is stripped away, when you have absolutely no choice but to rely solely and completely on Him, that is often when you truly see His undeniable power most clearly. That is when you truly come to know His intimate presence in a way you never have before. And when He promises, I am making a way, it means He is already ahead of you, meticulously preparing the road, sovereignly clearing the obstacles, miraculously making a path where there was absolutely none before. Some of you have been fervently praying for a specific breakthrough. But it feels like the more you pray, the harder things actually get. But listen carefully. Sometimes the very intensity of the struggle is undeniable proof that God is indeed moving mightily on your behalf. Sometimes the fierce resistance you encounter simply means you are right on the verge of something incredibly great. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you so relentlessly if there wasn't something truly powerful and significant waiting for you on the other side of this challenging season. Do not grow weary. Do not give up hope. The God who promised to faithfully make a way in the wilderness is not a mere man that He should lie. His timing is always perfect. His plan is absolutely sure. And if He said He will do it, He will do it. Keep walking forward in faith. Keep believing His promises. Keep trusting His heart. Because even in the driest, most desolate places, even in the most seemingly impossible circumstances, He is faithfully, miraculously making a way for you. Conclusion. The promises woven throughout Isaiah 43 are not just historical reassurances, they are living truths for you today. God's declaration, "I have called you by name, you are mine," establishes your identity and security. His command, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you," dismantles the power of anxiety and past mistakes. His assurance, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you," guarantees His presence in every trial. And His power, "I will make a way in the wilderness," promises hope even in impossible situations. These aren't just comforting words. They are declarations of divine reality meant to empower your walk. Which of these promises from Isaiah 43 speaks most powerfully to your current situation? Take that promise, hold on to it, declare it over your life, and choose to live from that place of assurance, not from fear or doubt. Let His presence be your guide, His redemption your confidence, and His power your hope. You belong to Him, and He is always making a way. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to watch our next videos.